Cookies for you. Well, my fingers to you. In your pants. Hey there, Cthulhu, down there in your sunken city. You're a million light years distant, but the stars, they're very pretty from relay. So close and yet so far away. E-I-yay. Cthulhu for toggin, or is that Cthulhu for tying? I can never quite remember, 'cause I'm not in my right mind since I met you. No one corrupts the way you do. You know it's true. Hey there, Cthulhu, I've been studying your gospel. The Necronomicon, it gives me nightmares, something awful, where I see the death of all humanity. It fills me with glee. So when the stars are right, you'll come and do your worst, but that's okay, because I know you'll eat the cultists like me first when you get here. I know that day is drawing near. I have no fear. A billion light years seem so far beyond the sea, beyond the stars of these humans' wretched souls. You'll drink your fill. The fools, they all make fun of me, but I just laugh maniacally, 'cause no one's ever suffered like they will. Cthulhu, I can promise you that by the time this call gets through, the world will never ever be the same. Praise your dark name. Fingli Mglunoth, Cthulhu Relay Wognog Fitogin. Boy, that's really quite a mouthful. Can't quite cram it in my noggin, not today. I try to say it anyway. I feel my soul begin to fray. Still I will reap that fraptious day. E-I-yay. I'm a big fan of Whitney Cummings. It's a great inspiration to me. Those of you who know who she is, you're like, well, that makes sense. She's a famous comedian. You're a wannabe comedian, but that's not it. We have very different styles, you see. She's self-abusive and sexual, and I'm self-abusive and allegorical. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. As I said, I'm a big fan. But, it's rather hard to do a 20-minute bit about squirting when you don't have any genitals, now isn't it? The reason I admire Whitney Cummings is because she gives me hope. And that's something that's in short supply these days. My friend told me about this thing where you go sit with a woman who makes you cry out all your old repressed grief you carry around with you. This practice is called the Grinberg method. And when I looked it up on Wikipedia, I found this definition. Practicing the methodology is intended to teach people to gain control and stop trying to avoid the pain, to be fully attentive to their body and experience of it. When this occurs, energy is freed to deal with the pain and related sensations, giving the body an opportunity to mend and heal. The woman I was meeting was named Evelyn. I know, already intimidating. When I went to her office, it took me a little while to find the front door. I always wondered if healers and therapists get offices in hard-to-find places on purpose, to make sure you're as stressed out as possible when you arrive, so that by the end of the session, when you're finally calmed down, they can be like, see? My therapy is working. You were so stressed out when you walked in. When in reality, the biggest problem in your life is finding parking at your therapist's office. Evelyn had an office with a keypad entry system, and I struggled with punching in the numbers because if I'm over a minute late to something, I panic and my frontal lobe shuts down. After I frantically hacked at the keypad as if a bomb would go off and destroy Earth if I didn't get the code right in time, Evelyn opened the door from the inside. Even though I had an appointment, guilt and shame washed over me. because I felt I interrupted whatever she was doing. Evelyn truly didn't give a shit if people liked her or not, which of course makes everyone like her. Evelyn speaks only when she needs to, and doesn't fill silences with nervous, insecure drivel, the way a lot of us do when we need the approval of others. Her self-assured silence, of course, made me think she was mad at me, which is ridiculous, and she didn't know me. When someone isn't talking, my brain tends to fill in the blanks with how I feel about myself. So I made the assumption that she was disappointed in me, and I did what I do best. Apologized when I had done nothing wrong. When I apologized to Evelyn, she looked deeply confused. After hearing my hemorrhaging litany of apologies, she made eye contact with me and sincerely asked, "Why?" I immediately burst into tears. Then, like any child conditioned to calm down and stop crying, I felt the muscles in my face automatically clench up to stop the tears from coming. She looked even more confused. "Why are you stopping yourself from crying?" Evelyn asked very gently. This was not a rhetorical question. She seemed genuinely confounded. Then I was genuinely confounded. The whole thing felt like a trick. What did she mean? We all stop ourselves from crying. Crying is pathetic, lame. It's a sign of weakness. I mean, crying in your car in a parking lot at 2 a.m. while eating old Hershey Kisses you found half unwrapped in your purse is one thing. But in public with another person? Crying is a solution, she said. This statement blinded me, because I had always thought crying was a sign of failure. In our culture, we're made to feel ashamed of showing our feelings, of being vulnerable. If a woman cries, she's crazy, emotional, has PMS, or whatever the most current pejorative dismissive term is. As I write this, psycho is pretty popular, but it seems like hot mess is making quite the comeback. We're brainwashed with garbage idioms like big girls don't cry. Guys who cry like a girl are told to man up. Or she's crying like a baby, as if only babies have a reason to cry. Which makes no sense to me, given that babies have the fewest problems out of all of us. I lay down on a padded table and Evelyn proceeded to beat the living shit out of me with one finger. Usually if someone is using one finger on you, it feels awesome. But this was literally an intolerable amount of pain. Evelyn jammed her finger into the side of my hip, the back of my shoulder, and the area between my jaw and ear, because she discovered that's where I hold my tension and repressed emotional pain. She explained that since our bodies react to stress faster than our brains can, our bodies will tense when a situation reminds it of a previous trauma, which signals the brain to release the stress chemicals adrenaline and cortisol, which is what makes us feel anxious. Her goal is to neutralize these areas, so your body halts that reaction cycle and you stop turning every benign situation into a fight or flight scenario. For example, when you're at the grocery store and someone leaves a cart in the middle of the aisle, you don't feel the need to end their life because of the time you got left in the car too long as a child. The practice can also help you stop making every guy you date your dad and every girl you date your mum, because unlike what the popularity of MILF porn may indicate, it's not a cute look on anyone. Evelyn taught me that crying is a healthy release and should be part of our daily lives, since we have so much repressed pain stored up in our bodies from our past. As corny as it sounds, I took with me the expression, "You gotta feel it to heal it." When we repress our feelings, They build up and will eventually explode in random situations or end up getting expressed in unhealthy ways like addictive compulsion, self-sabotage, or general assholery. Another adage that's always stuck with me is, if it's hysterical, it's historical. So when I suppress my feelings today, I know that it's a negative contribution to my future because it's eventually going to cause an inappropriate reaction where the punishment does not fit the crime. If I don't cry when my body and brain want to cry, you better believe that in 2 years, when a form at the doctor's office innocently asks for my relationship status, I'll internalize it as a personal attack and have a full-on tantrum. Today, crying is part of my routine to maintain emotional equilibrium. We all carry a lot of grief around, and there's so much sadness in the world that we empathetically take on but don't have time to release on a daily basis. I look at crying like cleaning the lint out of the dryer before using it again so it can function better. I try to make crying a routine maintenance thing, like vacuuming, emptying the garbage, or masturbating. But maybe don't cry and masturbate at the same time, because if the CIA really is watching us through our computer cameras, the footage is seriously going to thwart your political ambitions. I decided to do something special this Christmas. In closing, I decided to adopt a pet, but not in the way you're thinking. This is my baby undead dragon, Mortis vivens serpens draconia. Isn't she lovely? From the Undead Pet Society, relinquishing only the most disgustingly adorable and dreadful pets. This certifies that a pedigree Gloomvanian pet now resides in the possession of a mortal. That's cute, you think I'm mortal. You must pledge to love and care for your pet no matter how destructive and uncontrollable they become. We take no responsibility once adoption is complete. You have been warned. I'm thinking Barbara. What do you think? I think she looks like a Barbara. I was going to say space giraffe, but then my babblefish fell.